Hello and welcome back to the board. I'm the Gav Major and this is WoWs Weekly. WoWs Weekly is the weekly news video which covers news of World of Warships Legends in the week past, week coming up. Also a place where I can do channel news and speculations regarding the game as long as it doesn't exceed the NDA. So, first of all, this week, obviously we've seen the new patch release, we've seen American battleships come as early access, we've seen German carriers become fully researchable, and surprisingly, we've also had the USS Florida drop, the only premium ship which should be available for doubloons, come out already. So she's now available in the in-game store for 12,500 doubloons, and a review of the ship is on the channel and will be carded top right now, but also will be available on the end screen. All in all, Florida seems to be a generally average ship, I guess you could say. I mean, she's good. I think the only thing that might let her down would be her armor scheme. Having that 25mm nose can be, well, it can be taken advantage of by 15-inch AP shells and higher. So it does mean she can find herself in slightly precarious situations, especially if she's up-tiered. Now, obviously, as we've kind of said, we've entered the new patch. That means we've got the new Georgia on My Mind campaign. Now, following the discussions that we had on Monday stream, it seems that the formula is you take the caliber of the gun and you divide it by 14.3, and that gives you the available armor penetration. So for the Georgia, she can penetrate up to 31.95mm, which basically means she can overmatch 31mm of armor, which is quite interesting. Just clarifying that, because obviously we were all discussing and floating around whether she could do this or do that or something like that. So basically, it means that the only thing that can overmatch 32mm of armor is the Yamato. So that's just putting it out there. Obviously, that 3mm difference, obviously used to game it a little bit, I guess you say, by wargaming. So, looking at the breakdown of the Georgia on My Mind campaign, now the weekly Havricks are going to be available for their week and all the weeks following. So week 1 will be open throughout the entire patch, week 2 will be open from week 2 onwards, week 3 will be open for week 3, 4, 5, etc, etc. So only week 5 will be only open for a single week. And now these broke down into obviously endurance trials and shakedown trials. The endurance trials look to be just earn XP, earn credits, earn base XP, earn global XP and commander XP. Nothing really that special. When it comes to the endurance shakedown trials, I should say, now these can be completed in standard battles or legendary tier, but they have to be completed in standard battles. And this is simply hit the enemy target with one battery, receive potential damage, set fires. Ironically, the differences between legendary tier and standard tier for the first week, there's actually no differences in what you have to achieve. It's simply differences in the tier of the ship. It's the way that wargaming still continues to treat legendary tier as its own unique special tier, which can't be combined or utilized with the other tiers, I guess you could say. Same kind of things start to continue for week 2. The endurance trials practically look the same. The shakedown trials, obviously, which are locked behind the endurance trials, so you have to complete endurance trials in order to get the shakedown trials. Destroy 15 ships in total, deal damage to enemy ships, enemy battleships actually, I should say, so they're making it a bit more interesting there. Deal damage in cruisers, amusingly legendary tier cruisers, well, there's only one in the game unless you've managed to boost all the way through the Worcester, which I think might not be completely achievable as yet. And then there's also deal damage in destroyers. Things start to continue, but it's the same old, is the best way to put it. If you want to go through the breakdown, see what you can expect to foresee coming in the future couple of weeks, then there will be a link down in the description which will take you to the entire campaign, endurance trials and shakedown trials breakdown. Now also, there is the heroic effort. This is basically the harder mode version of this. This is going to be available for the entire length of the patch, and basically this is a way just to get the ship or complete the campaign just a little bit earlier. So obviously if you complete all the endurance trials and the shakedown trials, you'll basically complete the campaign. If you do the heroic effort, then obviously you can get it completed a little bit earlier. These are things such as set 20 fires in a single game, get 200 hits in a single game, hit the enemy citadel 7 times in a single game, or get Kraken Unleashed /5 kills. And again, that's broken down into the tier 5 to 7 or legendary. So again, continue to treat legendary as its own separate mess. Now, there is endless trials, so once you complete the campaign you will then start having endless trials, because basically once you've passed the end of the campaign you start earning steel. Now this basically takes 25 renown per milestone as per previous, and you get 5 steel per milestone. Now the daily trials is basically just earn quantity of XP. The weekly trials are things like earning XP, Commander XP, credits, Global XP and Base XP. So obviously, potentially that all it does mean is even for a player who doesn't want to invest into the game but does play quite a bit, you should be able to complete all the endurance trials, shakedown trials, possibly even the heroic mode, complete the campaign potentially up to a week, maybe a bit more earlier, and then you'll be able to actually progress endless trials without having to throw money at the game, which does mean potentially you could get some steel out of this, which is quite interesting. So it's nice to see that they decided to make steel a bit easier to get to if you're not basically a player who invests into the game. So that's quite an interesting outcome, I guess you could say, from this campaign. Now, this week we have the containers which are now available for the early access American battleships. Now, the most common crate you're going to be seeing is the USN battleship crate. Now, the drop rates, without going over all the little individual things, I guess let's get to the cut of the mustard. So Nevada has a drop rate of 5%, Tennessee has a drop rate of 1.5%, and the Arizona and the North Carolina have a drop rate of 0.5%. Now, if you already have the ship, then it will obviously re-roll. Now, with the big United States battleship containers, the drop rates are Nevada's 11%, Tennessee's 5%, Arizona's 2%, and the North Carolina is 1%. Now, if you do want to check out the containers and their drop rates, then there will also be a link down in the description to that tab on the Warships page, or World of Warships Legends page. Now, furthermore, this literally today, Arena Season 4 is starting. The interesting one with Arena Season 4 is basically you only need to get into the top, well, from top 50% up is when you start earning steel. So this is a nice way, if you are one of those players who's trying to earn steel, then this is going to be an interesting way to do it. Now, obviously, this season we're seeing this introduction of a daily cap. Basically, your best 15 games in each day is counted towards your total XP. It's interesting. It's not exactly how I would do it, but the only thing, like, it partially penalises people who sit down all day and play, but 15 games is still a lot of games. That's a lot more games than the average player is going to complete anyway, so you're practically still going to get the runaway people who, if you can invest 15 games, you're fine. The only people I think this really penalises are the people who just have that 1 or 2 days in a week where they sit down, do a bit of a grind, and that means that they're only going to get 30 games. Admittedly, sometimes you don't need many games to get into certain percentages. Personally, I seem to find that it takes about 15 games to get into the top 50 or top 25 sometimes, because usually there's a lot of people who simply just participate. There's those people who really run for the top 10%, but usually anywhere between the top 10 and participating is actually quite easy to achieve, because it doesn't seem to shift that much and you don't need to earn that much overall XP, because it's quite achievable without having to put a lot of effort in. So if you just want to set yourself a target of top 25, top 50, it should be more than achievable, really. Now, going down, obviously, it's the standard arena game mode that we've had from all the previous, most of the previous seasons. Obviously, it's tier 4 ships, no aircraft carriers, It's going to be on the maps Ring, New Dawn and Haven. There's going to be a central cap zone. If you capture the central cap zone, that ends the game. I think you win the game as well if you cap the central cap zone as well. I can't exactly recall. However, the difference that's going to happen here is they're introducing this kind of like arms race, where on set locations on the map there will be additional capture points, which will grant your ships additional or your team's ships additional benefits. Now these bonus spawns will appear in 3 waves, one at 12 seconds, one at 80 seconds, and one at 155 seconds into the game. Now you can collect up to 6 of each type. So there's 4 types of buffs, and you can stack it up to 6 times. So potentially, I guess if it spawns multiple times on the map, you've got 3 chances, where you've got 3 waves. Let's say there's 4 places on the map. You could grab it, if it spawns multiple times, maybe you could grab it and stack it all the way up to 6 times. Now, these buffs are main guns reload speed. This starts at a reduction of 10% and can be stacked to a maximum of a reduction of 33%. Consumable reload speed starts at a single stack of a reduction of 10%, and this can be increased to a reduction of 40% with a stack of 6. Rudder shift speed reduction by 20%, this can be maxed out at 60%. And HP regen, this starts at 0.2% per second and can be stacked to a maximum of 1.2 per second. It's going to be interesting to see how this kind of element of arms race in Arena actually works, and how, for the casual player, I don't think this is really going to matter too much. For those who are pushing for the top 5 or top 10% up, this might be a bit more critical in the way that you play the game, I guess you could say. Now, there's also a drawing mechanic where at the end of the game, if there's 2 teams still alive, then it will actually decide a winner rather than calling it a draw. And basically that seems to be based on whichever team has the largest amount of kills. And of course the winning team will get a 50% extra XP, which is obviously going to be beneficial because the leaderboard is going to be based on XP. And it's worth noting that for earning XP, this does include all available modifiers. So that's your ship XP booster flags, whether it's rare, common or epic, and then also whether it's a premium ship. Remember, premium ships do earn slightly more XP, which can be slightly advantageous when it comes to this. Obviously the rewards, you've already seen them. Now, obviously, it wouldn't be a World of Warships Legends patch release without some bugs, and we have had some bugs. We've had some games where players, even though they haven't disconnected, will be receiving 0 XP for their efforts in the game. Now, this issue has been flagged and it has now been resolved, so hopefully we shouldn't be seeing that anymore. Also, in regards to the Georgia on My Mind campaign, the Citadel hits from the AP bombs from the German carriers wasn't counting towards the mission. This has now also been resolved. However, there are some currently still unresolved issues. This is in regards to some very weird shell and ship interactions. Most of this seems to be attributed to armor-piercing shell overpen damage, rather than it being, at least usually you can always get overpen damage if you punch for a ship. In this case, it seems like we might be getting some strange results there. That is still being looked into by the dev team, I guess you could say. So, while that's all the concrete news, let's move into the slightly more fluid news, I guess you could say. Obviously, USS Montana has been spotted as a legendary tier ship in Versus AI games. Now, this would potentially imply her potential future release. Obviously, we don't know any further information. However, we know from PC that she's going to come with 12 16-inch guns, which is going to be quite intriguing. Now, although I'm sure that some of you are going to get excited by USS Montana, the idea of this evolution or successor to the Iowa-class battleship coming to the game in the future, a little part of me does die inside with the thoughts of, oh, jolly good, another legendary tier battleship, as if we didn't have enough of those. I mean, they might as well top it all off and give us another legendary tier destroyer and say, well, we don't need cruisers. But it is what it is. Let's just hope that they do start to actually introduce some actual cruisers to the tier and therefore add some actual diversity. I've already seen some marvellous screenshots where it's 5 Shimikazes per team at Legendary tier, which, yeah, wall of torpedoes. Hope everyone enjoys them. Furthermore, what else has been spotted? Well, you're going to have to pardon my pronunciation, but within the 2-year-strong trailer, the Japanese Tier 7 destroyer Kurosama has been spotted. I've probably pronounced that incorrectly. Now, obviously, a Tier 7 premium destroyer, we are expecting one to be a campaign reward this year. And so this could be a potential ship that we might be getting. However, this has now been censored out of the trailers. That's one of the joys of YouTube. You can actually go back and blur out parts of the video without actually having to basically confirm that you've edited the video in any way or that you've re-uploaded it or anything like that. So that's what they've basically gone back and done. But furthermore, there's no actual ship from World War II within the Japanese Navy which has this name historically, or at least not a destroyer. Furthermore, there's no ship with this name that Wargaming have made up as to date. So, I'm not quite sure whether it's just a name holding, whether it is a alternative ship within the Japanese tech tree and the name is simply a placeholder, whether this is a future ship which is coming to World of Warships Legends and PC. You never quite know. Very much like with the Odin, that came to PC and Legends pretty much simultaneously. So, not really sure. I haven't really been able to find anything under the dev blog of World of Warships PC. So, it's going to be intriguing to see what happens with this. Obviously, I'm sure some of you are thinking, oh, whoopee, another Tier 7 premium Japanese destroyer, because that's literally all we have. I think if it is a Japanese destroyer that is the Tier 7 premium destroyer that we get this year, I will be a little disappointed because we've already got the Udachi, and judging by the screenshot, this looks like it's another Japanese torpedo boat, and that disappoints me a little bit because that doesn't add any diversity in the play styles of the just premium tier 7 destroyers, because you'll have the Udachi and whatever this one's going to be, both of them are going to be torpedo boats. That's not really adding much diversity. But we'll have to wait and see. Obviously the Montana and the Curie Sem are more like just information that we've spotted, intelligence data collected, but we don't really have anything going forward as to what's really coming with them. It's very much like the HMS Minotaur. We know that she's potentially coming in the future, but we don't know when, and at least Minotaur's more confirmed than Montana, I guess you could say. Well, I'd say Montana's pretty much confirmed if we're already kind of battling against her. It's just the schedule of her release is obviously unknown. Well, there isn't really much more for me to really speculate. I'm rather surprised we got US Florida so soon. I would have thought the Massachusetts or the Benham would have come first and Florida would have come later in the patch, whereas it seems like they've kind of just blown their load and give it near all to us at the very start of the patch. But then I guess that means maybe their office can take it a little bit easier while they resolve some of these other bugs and maybe work on the next patch. Well, there's nothing more for me to add, and nothing really more for me to add in regards to channel news. I guess the only channel news I'd probably ought to update you on is I'm trying out a new thing with the channel. Obviously, I live stream once a week, and as a potential alternative video additional to the channel, I'm thinking, what I've already been trying it out, is basically after I've live streamed, I'll pick a game from the live stream and use it as a highlight game and have that as a separate video, because I know that sometimes a 2 to 3 hour live stream, not everyone wants to really sit down and re-watch that. I know it's a reasonable bite-sized chunk, but not everyone's going to have the time to sit down and watch it. But if they can just catch the highlight, it obviously means that you can grab something from the live stream, which you might enjoy. Furthermore, it allows me to almost showcase what the live streams are like on the channel in a separate video, and potentially, you never know, might entice more people to watch the live streams or even re-watch the live streams. You might watch the highlight game and go, that looked quite good, I might check out the live stream. It's a little experiment at the moment. It seems to be positively received, and people seem to be enjoying it. So it's a nice little way that I can produce like an extra video for the channel, hopefully promote the channel, and it's not taking a lot of effort from myself, because at the end of the day I've almost already recorded it and done everything. All I've got to do is some of the background editing, I guess you could say. Well, that's everything, so I haven't got anything more to add. I hope you have enjoyed this WoWs Weekly, and if you have, feel free to give it a thumbs up. I'd like to say thank you to all the subscribers, because that's all of you guys. And I'm not sure if they'll still be open, but under the Friday and the Monday live stream of the just recently gone past, there were some redeem codes in the descriptions, so you can go check those out. There's also another one in the patch notes review live stream as well, which was on Thursday. So if you have missed those redeem codes, you can always skip back and go through the videos and grab them out of the previous descriptions there. Hopefully they are still available. Well, thank you everyone, and until next time, I'm the Gareth Major, and back to the port.
Hey, hey, clear the way, here comes the galloping Major. Bumpity, 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 bump. Get out of the way there, you fellows, unless you want me to run you down. I guess this is the life